Hi, welcome to the Me and My Bass series. In this series, I will bore you with some interesting facts about some of the basses or bass-related, audio-related stuff I own. I will tell you how I did purchase them and why. Further, I will tell you my humble opinion about their playability and their sound. This time's up. The Kemper Profiler 2016. This preamp slash amp, yes, it's an amp alright, is made in Germany. It has the capability to profile other amps. I bought this amp somewhere in 2016, 2017 at Bucks at Beck's music shop. But first, a little history lesson about digital amps.
The fun part is that the origin started when synthesizer manufacturers started making physical modeling synths. So through digital rebuilding synthesizer components, they managed to reproduce old vintage synths and more. Because the first commercial available one was the Yamaha VL1, that one could also do excellent woodwind simulation, for instance. I also bought the poor man's Korg version of this synth, the Korg Prophecy. In the meantime, virtual analog, as it was called in the day, started becoming big business for firms like Clavia, whatever, which produced the Nordlead synth, and also Access, which produced the Access virus. This last synth was developed by Christoph Kemper, but more about him later. Digital virtual amps first came on the market by Line 6 with their pot in 1998. I also fell for this, but I bought a Johnson J station, which was actually produced by Digitech and was a pot clone. Later on, I did buy a Line 6 device, an X3 and a pocket pot. But then it went a little quiet and suddenly two different firms came on the market with more superior modelers. First there was XFX, who did a great job of making more accurate models of all the classic amps, and there was Kemper. This last device is a brainchild from Christoph Kemper. Yes, right, the guy who also made the Access virus synth. His approach is totally different than other companies, as it isn't modeling of amps, but profiling.
What is profiling? Well, it's making an audioble snapshot of an amp. And that can be an old vintage tube amp or a solid state or even a modeled amp. The exact way how this works is beyond me. I did read some things online, but as I really don't know, I will stay on the snapshot way of working. The fact is, the files after profiling an amp are incredibly small, so apparently there is not much data needed to create such a profile. But there is also a downside making a profile, and that is it will not always work. I had to take 3 attempts to profile an old Randall RG100. Dimebag Darrell from Pantera used such an amp in the heydays of their career. And the last attempt, not by using a microphone, but a direct signal from the speaker output into a Rocktron juice extractor, I managed to get a decent result. Does this profiling take a lot of time? Well, setting things up for a profile session takes more time than the actual profiling. You connect the Kemper with an amp you like to profile and let the signal from that amp go back into the Kemper. That can be with a microphone or a direct signal. It then starts 1 minute of sending different test tones to the amp and calculates a profile. Then you have to play some chords so the Kemper understands how the amp handles that. And you're basically done. Let me tell you, 85% of the time it's spot on. You can flip the sound inside the Kemper between the profiled amp and the profile you just created, and most of the time there isn't much difference. What attracted me to buy this amp was the fact that I could profile my own amps and then use them on stage, which is much handier with this amp. The sound is consistent, the output options are numerous, direct out with speaker simulation to front of house, and at the same time without speaker simulation to your own cabinet on stage, for instance. Uh, Maybe you have been thinking now, isn't the Kemper just a preamp, so you need a power amp to drive your speakers? Well, yes and no. There are two types. There's one with and one without a power amp, and in fact this one I got here has the power amp, and I believe they claimed it's 600 watts, so that's plenty for guitar as well as bass. That was a whole lot of information. Now let's listen to a couple of profiles. The first four I have bought and are some of my favorites, and the six after that are made by myself. Now I dialed in one of my favorite profiles and play through it with my Spector Rebop. The signal flow in this clip was my bass direct into the Kemper and then into a Behringer 8000 preamp, then through the ADAT input without any processing into my UAD Apollo Twin. What do I think of this amp? Well, I'm still kind of confused how this profiling works. The results are great, but then after just profiling the amp, there's so much possibility to tweak it. I will make more episodes trying to explain what I do with this thing and show you some great features. Well, that's it for this episode. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one. See you. Bye bye.